All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. We've got a 49ers update for you. They have made a transaction to the injury wire. Kalia Davis, the second-year defensive tackle who suffered a high ankle sprain against the Arizona Cardinals, has been moved to injured reserve. That opens up a 53-man roster spot for the 49ers. It remains to be determined what they do with it. Ndamukong Suh has been working out for at least one other NFL team, but Matt Barrows just reported on our podcast, here's the catch, that Ndamukong Suh has yet to work out for the 49ers. They haven't invited him in for a workout. So right now the question is, how quickly will the 49ers get back their starting defensive tackles, Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave? And I think that the fact they haven't worked out Suh yet is probably an indicator that at least one of those two defensive tackles will be available to go against Baltimore, although we won't be sure about that until probably tomorrow. We'll know a little bit more tomorrow. We won't be sure maybe, but we'll get some progress, if you will, on the 49ers injury situation, because they've been dark here for a couple days. Practice for the Ravens does not begin until Thursday. So we're going to make this Kalia Davis transaction now on the 49ers depth chart and the full 90-man roster. Davis is right here. He had been shaded in pink. We're going to move him all the way to the left side or the right side and shade him in that red color for injured reserve. Remove Davis from the 53-man roster. Shade him in red over here. And as you can see, the 49ers now have one open spot on the 70-man and one open spot on the 53-man. The other injuries, obviously not serious enough to rise to the level of injured reserve along the interior defensive line, are Eric Armstead with the foot and the knee issue and Javon Hargrave with the hamstring. Hargrave was working off on the side already last week during practice, which leads me to believe that he's further along than Armstead. That being said, the Ravens have the number one run offense in football, and Armstead is a much bigger deal as far as run defense than Javon Hargrave. Eric Armstead might be the best run defending tackle in football when it comes to somebody who can also rush the passer. In 2021, the 49ers were struggling to stop the run. They moved Eric Armstead inside. They finished with the number one run defense in all of football. So you want at least one of these guys back, and hell, you might need both of them back, or you might need some contributions from players on the practice squad. Last week, T.Y. McGill made a couple nice plays for the 49ers. They have one practice squad temporary elevation left for T.Y. McGill. It's a max of 2 per season. So as you can see here, McGill shaded in green. That's because he was one of last week's elevations. Jeremy McNichols, the running back, was as well. And then there's Spencer Wagee, who is the rookie out of North Dakota State, Trey Lance's former college teammate. I don't know if the 49ers think that he's ready yet. He started off his NFL career as an edge player, then bulked up and moved inside to defensive tackle. So if the 49ers are short injury-wise still this week, they may have to bring somebody in, and maybe that's what they do with the 53rd and final roster spot. It just isn't clear at this point. But I've highlighted this as the matchup that might determine this game, or at least will determine whether or not the 49ers have trouble with the Ravens, because the 49ers have an explosive enough offense to iron out and mask a lot of deficiencies, right? So you can't say that anything is going to throw them out of the game just because the offense is so historically good. But when you look at the matchup on paper, the Ravens have that number one run offense, and the 49ers run defense is their only pronounced weakness down at number 18. They're coming off a game against the Arizona Cardinals where they gave up 200-plus yards on the ground. The backup defensive tackles obviously had a lot to do with that. So did the missed tackles for the 49ers. But I don't think that there has been enough rest. There hasn't been a bye week or anything since the game against Arizona to assume that fatigue will magically stop being an issue against the Baltimore Ravens, especially against the team that's going to be trying to bruise you with a 238-pounder in Gus Edwards. That's the Ravens' top running back now after Keaton Mitchell got hurt. Gus Edwards is built like a bowling ball. Gave the 49ers some trouble back in 2019 when these teams played in Baltimore. So, the 49ers, they have to stock up as much as they can on the interior. That's why we're going to be watching Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead's status as closely as possible. I cited this as one of the main reasons that the 49ers are thrilled that the Seattle Seahawks beat the Philadelphia Eagles, because now all the 49ers have to do is win 2 of their last 3 games so that they can attain that first round bye. And that first round bye, that's the only thing that's been proven to cut down on the missed tackles, to bring freshness back to the defense. The 49ers were fresh and they were an elite tackling team out of the gate in week 1. It seemed that they ran out of steam by week 6. By week 8, they'd missed 13 tackles against the Bengals. Then coming out of the bye week, they were elite again tackling-wise for 3 weeks. Then it seems they've run out of steam over the past 3 weeks against the Eagles, then against the Cardinals, or first the Eagles, then they came home, right? The Seahawks, and then the Cardinals. The 49ers have missed 12, 14, and 16 tackles respectively over those 3 games, 16 being a season high. So to me, it looks like it's obvious. You need some rest, and attaining that first round bye would be huge in that regard. But the quickest path toward attaining that first round bye is going to be to beat the Ravens, who are historically good so far this year. What's working in the 49ers' advantage is that the 49ers have been even more historically good than the Ravens. And that's what makes this matchup on Monday night so tantalizing. Speaking of tantalizing matchups and star power on the field, look at this. The 49ers currently are dominant in Pro Bowl voting. Here are the top 5 players in the Pro Bowl fan voting, which is continuing to go on right now. Pro Bowl fan voting is going to count double on Christmas Day and the day after. So that's a great opportunity for 49ers and Ravens players to increase their case. I'm surprised Tua Tagovailoa is getting so many votes. To me, that's nuts. He hasn't been as good as a lot of the other quarterbacks in the league. But look at where the 49ers are. McCaffrey, 131,000 votes at number 2. Purdy, nearly 121,000 votes at number 3. CJ Stroud of the Houston Texans, the rookie, at 113,000 votes. And then George Kittle at 109K. That's the top 5. Features 3 49ers. Everyone in the top 5 of the Pro Bowl voting is coached by either Kyle Shanahan or a very recently former Kyle Shanahan lieutenant. Tua Tagovailoa, coached by Mike McDaniel, former 49ers offensive coordinator under Shanahan. CJ Stroud, coached by DeMeco Ryans, former 49ers defensive coordinator under Shanahan. So Shanahan is taking over the National Football League. He and his coaching tree is taking over the league. And have a look at this. The 49ers currently have 10 players leading the NFC Pro Bowl fan vote at their respective positions. Purdy, McCaffrey at running back, obviously. Kyle Juszczyk at fullback. There's also going to be an all-pro designation for fullback for the first time ever this year. So Juszczyk has a chance to become an all-pro. I know he's happy about that. George Kittle for tight ends. Trent Williams for offensive linemen. Nick Bosa for defensive linemen and edge rushers in particular. Javon Hargrave for defensive tackles. Fred Warner for linebackers. Mitch Wishnowsky for punters. And Tabor Pepper for long snappers. Needless to say, the 49ers are the only team with 10 players leading their respective positions in the conference Pro Bowl voting. So that is impressive. So we'll see what move the 49ers make with Kalia Davis going to injured reserve. I'm going to have a lot more for you moving on to the course of this day. I just finished a massive article for The Athletic. It's going to be running tomorrow about the MVP award and the Offensive Player of the Year award and what might happen with Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey. It's going to be fun stuff. So we're going to be talking about a lot of that. Team facility tomorrow as the week of practice for the Ravens begins. In the meantime, we're going to eat some good food. It stopped raining finally here in San Francisco. So I'm going to be off to swim, get into ice cold bay, build up my appetite. As I build up my appetite, I will then be able to share with you some of the great food this city has to offer. And we can start our tailgate for 49ers Ravens now with some of that food, some of the previews. Matt Barrows and I also just dropped an episode of Here's the Catch, our podcast. So make sure you check that out as well. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. We will talk to you very soon.